In this video, we're going to talk about equations of lines. So we're going to, in the other videos, we were given an equation and we figured out how to graph it or get the slope. In this one, we're going to take some information and actually make the equation of the line. All right, so in the last video, we looked at one type of equation, and that was y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay, so that's one form of a linear equation. So if we know the slope and we know the y-intercept, we can go ahead and plug them in and make a line from that. So let's say that we know, the slope is 2, and we know the y-intercept is -1. Okay, so that's our m. This is our b. We can just go ahead and plug that into the equation. Y equals 2x minus 1. Okay, m is 2, y is -1, and we can make the equation of the line. Now, typically we don't have this information, unfortunately, to put into the equation, so we might have to do a little bit of work. So let's say that we know the slope is 3, and the line passes through the point 2, -1. Okay, so this is another one. Let's put a line here. All right, so the slope is 3, and the line passes through 2, -1. Okay, so we need to make a line from this. All right, we have the slope. We can go ahead and put that in. Y equals 3x plus b. But we don't know the y-intercept. Okay, this is not the y-intercept because there's not a 0 there. So we've got to figure out some way to get the y-intercept. Okay, but what we do know is we know a specific x and y. So if we put in that x and y here, we should be able to figure out what the y-intercept needs to be. So let's go ahead and plug our point in. -1 equals 3 times 2 plus b. And we're going to solve for b. So we're going to get -1 equals 6 plus b. And we want to do the opposite, so we're going to subtract 6. And we get -7 equals b. So now we have m, now we have b, and we can go ahead and make the line. Y equals mx plus b, or you could put plus -7 or -7, same thing. Okay, so if we can get the slope and the y-intercept, then we have the equation of the line. All right, let's try one more like that. All right, let's say that we have a line passing through 3, 4 with slope 2/3. Okay, we need to make the equation of this line, passing through 3, 4 with slope 2/3. Okay, so the slope is 2/3, we've got that. So we can go ahead and put that into our equation, 2/3 x plus b. Okay, and then if we put in our x and our y, we should be able to figure out what b is. So here's our x, here's our y, and we plug that in. 4 equals 2/3 times 3 plus b. Okay, so we've got some fractions here. You could multiply through to clear the fractions, but if you look at this, when you multiply, it's pretty nice. The 3's are going to cancel, and we're going to have 4 equals 2 plus b. Or if you're not sure about canceling, this would be 6 over 3, and 6 over 3 is the same as 2. Okay, and then let's get b by itself. So we've got 2 equals b. So now we have the slope, and we have the point, and we can make our line. 2/3 x plus 2. Okay, so that's using y equals mx plus b, which we introduced in the last video. All right, now there's another form of the equation that you can use as well. Y equals mx plus b is nice because you can use it for lots of stuff. You can use it for graphing, you can use it for this. It's kind of one equation that does it all. There's another form of the equation called point slope. Okay, and you find this one just like we found the slope intercept. You put in xy for a point, and then x1, y1. Okay, so xy is like generic. It stays xy. x1, y1 are your actual numbers. All right, so when we put this into the slope formula, okay, we're going to have y minus y1 over x minus x1. All right, and we do the same thing as we did before. We want to clear the fraction, so we're going to multiply by what's in the denominator. like that. That's going to clear the denominator. Here we've got m times x minus x1 equals y minus y1. And that is the point slope. So let me reverse it. Usually we see it like this. Okay, so you can put in your y, you can put in your x, and your m, and you've got the whole thing right there. So let's try this last problem again using the point slope form instead. Okay, so our point is 3, 4. That's our x1, y1. And our slope is 2/3. Okay, so we're going to have y minus y1, which is 4, equals m, 2/3, x minus x1, which is 3. Okay, so the nice thing about this one, it's another formula to memorize, but the nice thing is that once you put everything in, you've got the equation right there. You don't have to go back and plug anything in later. But what you do have to do is you have to simplify this a little bit, because this is not a great form for the answer. So we're going to need to distribute. So we're going to get 2/3 times x, and we're going to get minus 2/3 times 3. Okay, so again, that's like 3 over 1, and the 3's cancel, or you can do 6 over 3 is 2. So we've got y minus 4 equals 2/3 x minus 2. And we want to get y by itself, so we're going to add 4 to both sides. And we get y is equal to 2/3 x, and this will be plus 2. Okay, so that's another method that you can use for finding the line. You can either use, this one we used y equals mx plus b. Okay, so you can use slope-intercept or you can use point-slope. Either way is fine. Okay, so let's try one more. Maybe. Okay, let's try a line with slope. Let's do -3 passing through, let's say 4, -1. Okay, so we'll do it both ways. We'll use y equals mx plus b, so you can see that way. And then we'll also use y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. And then it's just a matter of whichever one you prefer that you want to use, okay? So either way, this is our m, and this is going to be our x and our y, or our x1, y1, okay, depending on which way you go. All right, so we can put in, for the first method, we can go ahead and put our slope in. So we're going to have -3x plus b. And then to get b, we're going to put in our x and our y. So we're going to have -1 equals -3 times 4 plus b. So -3 times 4 is going to be -12. And then to get b by itself, we're going to add 12 to both sides. And we get that 11 is b, that's our y-intercept. So we've got our slope, and we've got our intercept, and we can go ahead and plug that into the equation. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, now, same thing but over here. Okay, so over here, we're going to use this as our x1, y1, and we're going to plug everything in. So we're going to have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we put in our y1, our m, and our x1. We remember that minus minus is the same as plus plus. So we've got y plus 1 equals, and we need to distribute this, -3x plus 12. -3 times -4 would be positive 12. And then we want to get y by itself, so we're going to subtract 1. So y equals -3x plus 11. Okay, so same answer, two different ways to get it.